Okay, let's talk about synthetic division. So, just by virtue of you watching this video, you're either, studying synthetic division, or you're just interested in, hey, what kind of division? What does this word mean, synthetic? What are we even talking about here? Well, what we're talking about is polynomial division. So, this is a polynomial, and we want to divide it by this polynomial here. So the way we can do this, there's another polynomial division technique. It's called long division, and you need to know how to divide polynomials using long division. But there's a particular kind of shortcut method called synthetic division that we can use when we are dividing certain types of polynomials. But synthetic division is extremely important to figuring out solving, let's say, advanced polynomial equations, things beyond that you're going to be learning, let's say, in basic algebra or algebra 1. So if you're in any course like algebra 2, pre-calculus, college algebra, anything along those level, you definitely want to be paying attention to what I'm going to be talking about here with synthetic division. Now, if you think you could do this problem, you want to use this as a little pop quiz, certainly would encourage you to pause the video and synthetically divide, see what you come up with. But I'm going to get into exactly how to synthetically divide, and we're going to use this as our example problem. But even more importantly, why you need to learn this and why it's important. Okay, so I'm going to get into all of this in just 1 second. But first, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is John. I'm the founder of TabletClass Math. I'm also a middle and high school math teacher. And over several years, I've constructed what I like to believe is one of the best online math help programs there is. Basically, I have 100 plus different math courses ranging from pre-algebra to pre-calculus, everything in between. I also have a ton of test prep courses. So if you are taking an exam and it has math on it, I likely have a test prep course for that. So examples would be like the GED, SAT, ACT, GRE, ASVAB, Accuplacer, CLEP exam, a teacher certification exam, a nursing school entrance exam. There's so many exams that people have to take. Guess what? They have math on them, so I can help you prepare for that exam. I also have a great homeschool learning program. So if you homeschool, you might want to check out my program. Been working with homeschoolers for many, many years, but and then obviously help those of you who are having a tough time in your current math courses. Now, one thing I must tell you, if you are a math student, the importance of note taking. You have to take great math notes if you expect to do very well in math. I've been teaching math for decades, and this is kind of like my golden rule. So improve your notes, things will get better for you. But in the meantime, you can use my notes to study from. I'm going to leave links to all of this in the description of this video. All right, so let's get into synthetic division, and we're going to do this problem. But why do we need to know polynomial division or synthetic division? Okay, so let's put this right here. So when we have a polynomial equation, all right, so we have something, and we set that polynomial equal to 0. Let me give you an example. Let's say I had 4x to the fifth minus x cubed plus x plus 1 is equal to 0. So this is a polynomial equation, and it's set equal to 0. We're going to try to solve this polynomial equation. This is a fairly challenging problem, okay? We're talking about a fifth degree polynomial equation. And, we're not, like talking about x squared here, where we can just use the quadratic formula. So, if I just had x squared plus x minus 7 equals 0, I got a formula to solve this polynomial equation, but this not at all. Okay, I have a fifth degree, so it's a pretty sophisticated problem. So to be able to solve this problem, okay, we're going to need to know quite a few things. All right, we're going to want to know something called the rational root theorem, maybe the Descartes rule of signs. We're going to need to know just the theory of the fundamental theorem of algebra. We're going to have to understand the quadratic formula, factoring. There's a ton of sub-skills that you need to know, of which is synthetic division. Okay, now why is that important? Well, I'm going to get into this in just 1 second, but just so you know, when you're studying more advanced polynomial equations, your ability to do synthetic division is necessary in order to really, learn how to solve these equations. Okay? All right, so this is why we're studying it, and believe me when I tell you, it's going to save you a lot of work. Okay, now let's talk about what it is. All right, so we're going to do this problem, and this is the setup. So I'm going to take this polynomial, okay, and we're going to divide it by this polynomial. All right, so we're talking about polynomial division. So synthetic division is like a special case shortcut for polynomial division. All right, now again, there's something called polynomial long division that is, a longer way of doing this problem. But anytime we're dividing one polynomial by another, and the polynomial right here that we're going to divide this polynomial by is what we call a linear factor, right? So you can see here, this is x plus a number or x minus a number. We're not talking like x squared. It's a linear, okay? In other words, it's x plus some number again, or x minus some number. This is what we call a linear factor. So for have a linear factor right here, okay, we take this polynomial and we're dividing by a linear factor again. I know I'm being redundant, but I really need you to understand this. This is a situation where we can use synthetic division. If I have something like that, I cannot use synthetic division. So just to be clear about that, okay? All right, now I chose this particular problem because, this kind of really illustrates this really good. So let's take a look at this setup. So I have some numbers here, 1, 0, negative 5, 2. What does this mean? Well, what these are the coefficients of this polynomial, all right? So you start with this thing has to be in highest to lowest power. So this is going to be 1, all right? So this number right here, 1x cubed, that's our 1 right there. Now, if you notice here, I have x cubed and then I go to x. There's no x squared. So you might be saying, wait, well, what do you got? You got a 0. Where did that come from? Well, there is a 0x squared. So in synthetic division, every power needs to be represented. Okay, so let's just make this even crystal clear here. This is the x cubed. This is the x squared. This is x. And this is just the number. Okay, these are the coefficients. So what's in front of the x cubed? 1. What's in front of x squared? 0, because 0 times x squared is 0. That's why we don't have anything there. What's in front of x? Negative 5. And what's in front of this number? Well, it's just the number. It's 2. Okay, so hopefully this makes sense. But you must have, if a power is missing, you got to put in a 0. So a lot of students get confused. They don't put these zeros in, and then they end up, with these mistakes, and then they have this kind of like sad look. I would have known that, but I forgot the 0. Well, I'm trying to make the stress to you the importance of putting that 0 in. All right, so that takes care of that part of the setup. So here, this number, where did this number come from? Well, it came from the linear factor, all right? So this is the setup, all right? It's always going to be x minus a number, and whatever that number is right there is what you're going to be putting right here for synthetic division. So we got to be very, careful here because we got x plus 3. So how can I write x plus 3 with this minus sign right there? Well, I can go x minus a minus 3 or x minus a negative 3. Okay, because a negative of a negative is positive. So x plus 3 is the same thing as x minus a minus 3. We want this right here. It's x minus whatever that number is. In this case, it is a negative 3. All right, now I could have just put x minus 3, but I need to put this, I wanted to kind of give you the harder, case here that students kind of confused. So if you understand this, if you had, let's say, x minus 7 right here, what would I put right there? It would just be the 7, okay? All right, so now I really wanted to stress the setup, but once you have the setup down, okay, with these linear factors and all the coefficients represented, now we can just go ahead and get into the actual mechanics of performing synthetic division here. Okay, so how does this work? All right, so you can see my answer down here, but I'm going to go ahead and reconstruct that. So you're saying, okay, here is the answer, but what happened? All right, so first things first, you take this 1 right there, okay, and you drop it down. Whatever this beginning number is, you drop it down underneath this little line. Okay, you want to draw a line here and give yourself enough space for numbers. Then it's going to be negative 3 times this number, or this number times this number. In this case, it's negative 3 times 1. And you're going to put your answer right here in this second column, negative 3. Okay. Then you're going to add down. And what's your the answer here? Well, that'll be negative 3. And then it's going to be, then we're going to do this step again. So it's going to be negative 3 times negative 3. That's positive 9. Where do we put that answer? Right here. Okay, we just scoot over another column. And then we add down and we get what? Positive 4. Then we do this again, negative 3 times 4. is a negative 12. We put our answer in the next column right here, negative 12, and then we add down again. And now we are done because we're kind of out of numbers, right? So this is negative 10. So what does this represent? Well, I can go on and on about this, but basically how we can um, write this again as a polynomial with the remainder. But really what I want to do is just focus in on what this is. This right here is the remainder. Okay, so we actually did synthetic division. And when we divided these two polynomials, our answer was all of this, but we're interested in primarily is the remainder, the value of the remainder. So it's negative 10, okay? So when you're using synthetic division, you're going to be looking at the remainder. If we had 0, okay, if the remainder is 0, that means this number here would be a solution, okay, to those polynomials. Now, I'm going to kind of make additional videos on this because I don't want you to get just overwhelmed by this one video. So what are we doing here with synthetic division? Well, we're performing synthetic division, okay? We're looking at numbers. There's a bunch of numbers here, okay? And then we're going to use a number here. So when we, let's say, plug in a 7 and we're synthetically dividing, we're looking to see if we get a 0, okay? If we get a 0 when we synthetically divide, this number is a solution to the polynomial, all right? So this is there's other things in here um, that we need to discuss, but primarily what I wanted to do was just focus in on the mechanics of actually synthetically dividing. Okay, but there is more to this, and again, I don't want to turn this into a 2-hour video, but again, you need to know how to synthetically divide, right? And before you do this, you have to understand how to do log division, and this is pretty sophisticated level of math, right? And it's definitely something that you need to take notes on, and you got to practice, but you're clearly at some level of math like algebra 2, college algebra, pre-calculus if you're studying this. All right, so one, I want to congratulate you for getting to that level of math, but two, that, hey, you're going to need to truly, really understand this to be able to solve more advanced polynomial equations. So hopefully this quick review on just the mechanics of synthetic division alone was helpful. And if that was the case, please consider smashing that like button. That definitely helps me out. And if you're new to my YouTube channel, please consider subscribing. Been on YouTube for 10 plus years, have over 1,000 plus math videos, basic to advanced. So if you like my content, like my teaching style, I have a ton of videos here that you can learn from, and I'm posting new stuff all the time. But my best math help will be within my Math Help program. Okay, so with that being said, I definitely wish you all the best in your mathematics adventures. Thank you for your time, and have a great day.